Welcome. Once again, welcome. It is another night, another day with
another what?
Another decade.
Decade.
Another
I was about to say year. Look at me.
Another
Thinking
year.
small.
Yeah, thinking small. Think big. Another
Okay.
decade night with Crafts.
Yes.
Once again, I am your host, Justin Craft.
Yes.
And my beautiful,
Ooh.
roaring 20s, new decade, Netflix binge watching.
Yes.
Calling in thick, Miss Craft. Thank you.
Thank you, baby.
All
Welcome,
right,
y'all.
all
This is
right.
our first episode in 2020.
Yes.
It sounds crazy.
Yes.
You ever think we'd get to 2020?
A few years here and there. I don't know. That shit was like shaky as hell. There's some nights when I was wondering, damn, am I gonna, not gonna lie. There's some. We have been tested.
But guess what?
Mhm.
You made it.
We made it.
Never would have made it. Okay, anyway.
Oh God,
You're
I
here.
hate that.
You hate that song. I know, that's why I said it.
All right. So today
Yes.
we are discussing.
We're going to discuss grief, and we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. First, though, I want to tell y'all about our cocktail. You keep trying to cut out my cocktail segment, Justin Craft. Like,
Always.
stop hating
Always.
on my cocktail. Okay? So the cocktail that we're going to have is called the cotton candy champagne. So what you do is you take a glass of champagne.
Mm-hmm.
We like the Heartcraft champagne. Get that. It's a rosé.
Mm-hmm.
And you just pour that on top of cotton candy of choice. Our cotton candy of choice is pink cotton candy.
Really?
And you toast it up for the new year. Well, you've already toasted it up for the new year, but we're going to have some more celebrating going on.
That shit would be so sweet.
No, because the Heartcraft kind of has like a bitter taste to
Oh,
it.
yeah?
But it still has like a sweet, soft finish.
Ugh.
So it's going to be dope. It's a dope drink. So I'm going to make it this weekend, but I'm going to put the recipe up on the website like I always do, on Facebook, everywhere, and y'all can go and check it out and make it. Take pictures, tag us in the pictures. We got a few.
Us.
Yeah, we got a few last week.
Oh, that's dope.
Yes, we did. So
that is awesome.
yeah. So do that and let us know how y'all like it. This is a celebration drink. That's why we chose it. And it just looks so dope to me. I can't wait to try it out, and I'll let y'all know.
What you
how
need to
it was.
do is you need to put on that damn white Hennessy banana pudding that you made.
Yes, I made
That's the shit that you got to put on there.
Hennessy
and
pure
be
white
like,
banana pudding.
Yeah, that was incredible.
It was incredible.
That was
wasn't
incredible.
It?
Yeah.
You are so blessed.
I know, right?
I know.
To get
I'm
the
making you
buzz
not
and
only
eat
a good banana pudding, but I put pure Hennessy white. Oh, is it pure white?
Yeah,
Hennessy
it's pure white. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how the naming.
No, that's pure
thing
white.
goes.
It's pure
Okay.
white. That was some good shit, though. It was really good.
Okay.
That was just a great night. I ain't going to
Yeah.
get into everything else. But anyway, but yeah, so here we are.
Yeah. No, our last date night, like you touched on a little bit, but what we did was we watched the show You on Netflix.
Yes.
Watched 2 whole seasons
Yes.
of that damn show.
Sadly but true. We binged
But
the
I
shit
loved
out
it
of
because it was about relationships, psychotic relationships, nonetheless.
Yeah.
But it's a really good show.
And that was the whole point of it because, we really want to digest that. I think it was looking at it from that angle and also, too, looking at it from an angle of a serial killer, how they look at relationships and understanding the whole nuances of it. And I like the way it was written because it's like, they write it as a very likable.
Yeah.
They like to show you that, people are just...
They're not just one thing.
Yeah, not
There are
one-dimensional,
many things.
especially evil people.
Yeah, evil people need love, too.
Yeah, yeah.
But it basically just goes into, his relationships, what he's doing to maintain these relationships, get into these relationships, and keep these relationships. So it's a...
But I think everybody has a sense of that in their relationships. I think everybody has
But
a
we
sense
don't
of
go
it.
through it, and I guess that's what makes us different between
No, the whole
us and
stalking part.
sociopaths.
The whole stalking part and the learning behavior and studying people. I think a lot of people do that.
Well, it's good to do that, and you should.
You should, yeah.
But when it stops being a social media thing and you out in the streets getting active trying to see what people are that's extra.
Yeah, looking through people's windows.
Killing people to get them out the way.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. But I'm not going to tell you.
Give away the whole goddamn
story. I'm not going to tell you the whole story. I can say who dies.
I know, right? But it's the fact of you're saying it, though. But that's enough.
Yeah, but if you've been paying attention the last week, you know what's going on. So you're watching it for
and
that.
The memes are coming in hot, baby.
Yeah.
The memes are coming in hot.
You got you a few, huh?
I already got me a few.
I like the one you posted today about me when I say I need space, and that's how you get active. You put on your Facebook app. Anyway, I don't know. I might like the idea of you stalking me.
No, you don't.
I don't. I tried it. I
Yeah.
tried. No,
It's creepy.
that would get on my nerves.
Yeah. So.
Yes, but tonight's episode. It's a heavy episode, just like last week's. Last week we talked about toxic relationships and abuse and, trying to regain your power and get out of situations like that. And then this week we're talking about grief. Because I don't know, and like you said that you'd be okay talking about this stuff. You good? Okay. Yeah. So as y'all know, Justin lost his mom a few years ago. And it was tragic. The whole situation, how it happened, all of it was just tragic. We don't have to get into how it happened and all of that. But the grief that came out of that situation was so heavy that I wanted to leave. I'm not going to even lie. It was a lot. Yeah. It was a lot. And navigating that grief with you, with the children, with our family, with our friends, it just taught me so much about relationships. And I was Googling, y'all. I'm trying to figure out all of this shit, just trying to figure out how to help him, how to help myself, how to help the kids. And there was some information here and there about how to thrive and how to navigate it, but nothing that I could just really just sink my teeth into, nothing that was helping. Yeah. Because no matter what I read, no matter what I tried to apply, nothing worked. So that's the purpose of this show, is just to give y'all some tools and to let you know that what you're feeling, you're not an anomaly. This is not something that is new. People go through it every day. Couples struggle through it every day, even couples that y'all think have it all together or have all the answers, So,
and also too, just so you know, that loss doesn't necessarily mean loss of a person. Loss could be loss of a job. Yeah. It could be loss of, a song you're working on and the computer rebooted and you lost everything and you put so much time into that. Yeah. You still go through the Kubler model of
You've been
progression.
Doing research again, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Doing a lot of research.
I see.
I already know all this stuff. Because I went through it with my mom. Yeah. So, you go through those 5 stages. If you know what the 5 stages are, they're denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Okay. So you go through that, and it can be applied to almost anything in life. Yeah. Really, it can. I mean, I've actually applied it to a lot of stuff just to see if it does work. Yeah. So, but you go through it, and it's just one of those things. And just to go into it briefly, my mom had passed. Mm-hmm. She had an overdose of medications. Mm-hmm. And I went to, bring her some food one morning, and I opened up the door, and she was on the floor. But the way she was laying on the floor, I actually thought either she was sleeping or whatever.
That she fell.
She fell. But, so she was gone. Yeah. And then, when I went to try to wake her up, I realized that she was cold. Yeah. And then I tried to pick her up, which was a mistake. Yeah. But then that's when I realized that she was gone. Yeah. So the first thing, of course, is denial. At that point in time in my life, I was like, at that moment, I was like, I can't believe this. I've never been around someone who died right here, especially close to me.
On your watch.
On my watch.
Or that's how we felt, like it was on our watch. And that was the hardest part about the grief.
Yeah, that was the hardest part. So I had to deal with that. The denial part it was pretty much the whole day, because I remember being downstairs eating ice cream on the couch. And I remember I was trying to joke. Yeah. And
I think we were all
And I know it made the coroner and the cops feel really strange, because we were such in denial that it happened that we were sitting on the couch eating ice cream and we were joking because we were trying to get ourselves out of that dark spot. And then I know they were like, okay, your mom was upstairs on the floor dead, and y'all down here eating ice cream and kind of trying to.
Well, you thought they were trying to lock us up. Like, I got this white woman up here.
Yeah, I know, right? They coming in and going.
Funny, but
I know, but it's the truth.
But I got this white woman up here. She's gone, and y'all down here having a good time. It was hard to process.
It was hard to process. Yeah, I was in straight denial of that. Then of course the anger part came in, because earlier that week, my mother was like, hey, take me to Walgreens, I need to get my medication. I was like, Mom, you're taking too much medications. And she's like, no, it's okay. It's going to be okay. It's fine. Just take me by there. It's cool. And da-da-da. I was like, and I blew her off. And then she came at me again the next morning. I was like, oh my God. Okay. So I remember taking her to Walgreens, and she got all her medications, and I was like, okay. And we went home, and then, of course it was just days later. Yeah. And then, after that, you try to kind of wager yourself, and you kind of oh man, if that would never happen, and I could have done that. That's the bargaining part of it. And then, of course, always the depression part comes, and then when you're dealing with it, because At times you're waiting for her to walk downstairs.
And it doesn't happen. And it's not always the scary part of it. Like, I was
worried
that the kids, that's so stupid. I was thinking that the kids would be afraid.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that. It was the expectation of that person being here. It didn't go away. There was no, even though we saw, there was no finality in it. So it was always like you sitting there and you waiting for her to come downstairs. And that, reliving that, you know, even still today is very strange.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, all of it, I don't know. You know, I still don't know what to make of it. You know, I know that you had, you know, your counseling individually. We haven't had counseling as a family or the kids. I don't know. We've talked to the kids and they seem to be okay. But I think that all of us in our own respects are still grieving what happened because it was so traumatic. It was so unexpected, and I don't know if we've processed it in a healthy way.
Yeah, I think we tried to process it. I think we're doing actually a pretty good job so far. I mean, no one's really like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I haven't had one of those nights where you go out there and, you know, and someone's on in the living room crying on the couch by themselves and that type of shit. Yeah. But, you know, I've talked to the kids numerous times, actually a whole bunch. I mean, I talked to them at least several times a week since it happened. Yeah. Are you okay? You know, everything fine? Oh, yeah, I'm fine. I think it was just the hardest part is finding her that way. I was trying to avoid that. Yeah. Even when it happened, I told, you know, my son to get out of the room. But he was just like so in shock that he just stood there and he wouldn't leave. And I had to yell at him to get out of the room, you know, because he's staring at her, you know, and that was just, you know, that was really tough.
It was tough. It was tough for all of us because we were all there, you know. But I'm glad we have the opportunity to talk about it because I don't think that we've really talked about it. It's it's not a secret, you know, we're not trying to hide it from anybody. Yeah. But we're just kind of those people who, I don't know if we've experienced so much trauma that now in our life it's just like, well, shit is, you know, it's just something else that we'll have to get through is another part of the story.
And, you know, and also, too, I just want to thank everybody that came through. Yeah. You know, everybody that stopped by from, you know, my brother-in-law, Vernon. Yeah, Vernon. You know, to Forrest helping me, you know, take care of the financial side of it.
Yeah, Mom and everybody who donated.
Yeah, everybody that donated.
We didn't know that would happen.
We didn't know that happened. Yeah. You know,
we didn't know she wasn't ready for those things. We didn't know. We had no idea.
And it was Andrea and Latanya stopped by and gave us some food.
Yeah, they did. They came through with.
Gave us some food.
We're part of this group on Facebook. It's called the Murder Squad, and they've become like a family. So they made us this collage and came through with food and, you know, just beautiful things for the family. And I don't know if we've said that, you know, I never really thanked them. I thanked them for it. Yeah. You know, I've thanked them personally. I talked to them personally and thanked them for it and all that. But it was just, for someone to do that, it was really good because, to be honest with you, a lot of times you see movies and you see people die and you think like this big community thing happens and they come together and it's like, oh man, it's so cool and you can grieve and everybody's like, everything's gonna be all right. And the truth about it is a lot of times people just don't give a fuck. And they abandon you. Yeah. They just it's not that they don't. I don't think that it's always that they don't give a fuck. Maybe they just don't know what to do.
Well, they're scared of it too. They're scared of it. Like they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to come around that. That seems like a lot right now, and I'm going through some shit. And you know,
so people are just. I think people do the best they can.
Right.
You know, and even people who didn't come through at that time have come through later to say, hey, I'm sorry that happened. Right. You know, and people.
But what I meant by that was her family on her side. Yeah. It just her sister is the only person that really showed up, and I just always thought that was weird. You know, for like all them and all that she's done for them, I just thought that was weird. Yeah,
so they have their reasons.
Yeah, they probably.
I'm sure everybody has their reasons.
But yeah, it was one of those things. I just had to say that just for the record. Let them niggas know. Anyway,
well, tonight we have a great guest that's lined up for y'all to talk about the many forms of grief. I'm just going to read it here because I don't want to fuck this up. During the holidays, many people suffer from seasonal affective disorder and have a tendency to reevaluate their lives and think of all the missed opportunities and experiences, not knowing that itself is a form of grief. We not only want to look at how grief affects the individual, though, we want to also talk about how it affects the people that you are in a relationship with. So we've invited Counselor Anetria Thompson, who's a licensed therapist, specializes in grief, to help us understand what grief is, how it disrupts our relationships, and how to survive it. Anetria, thank you so much for coming on our show.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Such a down show, but we have a good time every time.
I know, right? We're going to try to make this grief thing fun.
I know. Let's make it entertaining and fun.
I know.
Right.
Well, before we get started, we always ask our guests, if there was a book that was written about your life, what would the title be?
I think I would have to call my book Developed by Resilience, just because of everything that I've been through or gone through and will go through. You have to have a certain resilience factor in order to bounce back, but not bounce back effectively to kind of continue through life. Life, excuse me.
In your opinion, what is grief?
Well, y'all kind of hit it on the head with the previous discussion. But to me, grief is kind of that intense loss, that feeling. Mostly we think about it, when we lose a loved one or just someone significant. But also, like you were talking about, when things happen in our life, like we lose a job or loss of a hope of something that we really wanted, relationships, anything, divorce. We're seeing like a lot of the fires like in Australia right now. So think of losing your home, like everything. We went through it with the hurricane.
Yes, we did.
So it comes in many forms, but just that pull, I think you feel on the inside of something I once knew that was very solid and concrete is no longer available to me.
Got it.
Got you. That's yeah, definitely.
So why did you choose grief to specialize in as a therapist?
I'm so familiar with it. I think you were speaking about your mom, so that made me start thinking about my mom that passed away in 2015. My dad passed in 2002. And so I think because of the more recent loss of my mom, I've had a lot of opportunities to really kind of process, what, grief has been a part of my life, from relatives, like from when I was younger to, uncles, grandmothers, aunts, cousins, friends, that I really look at how we grieve as just a community, and it's kind of like you got to pick yourself back up after those 3 or 4 days and get it together, go back to work, and there's that expectation of, okay, you should be okay.
Now, when you say community, are you meaning like Americans, like society, or as Black people?
I'm talking about us.
Okay.
I look at us, or even just our other communities of color, like when I look at the Hispanic population, it's kind of, we're all like more alike than different. So I just feel like grief is powerful, and it really connects us more than anything else.
It does.
Because it's something that we are all going to experience at some time or another. Yeah. So I just became drawn to it and figured that I know that there are a lot of people hurting. And so if I was hurting like this and I had to go back to work and to have that expectation of do all these normal things, that how can I help others who are grieving and they get stuck?
Got it.
And so that's what kind of drew me to it, where I felt like it's a passion for me.
Yeah, I could see that. And, and you said something, too, going back to work. That was difficult, especially when I went back to work. It's like people were just like, okay, so, you found your mom dead. And it was kind of like, and I was like, that's weird, because when other people hear like cousins, remote uncle that, lives in another country died, y'all were bawling and all this other stuff. But then I felt like I was treated a little bit differently. You know what I'm saying?
Why do you think you were treated differently?
I don't know. Maybe it's because of who they are. Maybe it's because who I am. I don't know. We'll have to dive into that a little bit more one day or talk about that. But I just remember going back to work.
You think it was personal, though?
I don't know if I just, in a way, my real honest to God feeling? Yeah. I feel like they didn't feel like my mother was a human. That's what I got from it. You know what I'm saying? Because I felt like, because I'm the only Black guy there. So, like, I felt like, and even though my mom was white, but the fact of is, like, I felt like there just wasn't, there was just like, oh, and I'm like, my mom wasn't 90 years old. She wasn't in a wheelchair, and her mind was gone. She had dementia, and then she passed out. Oh, okay, damn, she lived a good life, Mom was, young. Yeah, she was. So it was like, oh, and it was part of the opiate crisis thing that's going on, So it's all that shit, But they're just like.
I think a lot of that, too. I don't think it. I mean, me, I'm always trying to figure out why people do what they do. I think that maybe it was just because they see you as being a strong person. Yeah. That could be it, too. Like, even at the service, you were a strong person. You were cracking jokes. I'm thinking to myself, this dude is Teflon. Ain't no way I'm up here trying to make people laugh in this moment, but that's how you cope with things.
Right.
You know, so they may have didn't think that you needed that level of care.
Probably so, but I know it affected me and it made me look at them differently. Yeah. So I know if you guys are watching, hey, sorry, but it's just the way it is. I thought of them differently after that because I was kind of like, you know, do you guys understand like what happened?
Yeah.
You know, and you know, so, but yeah, I just wanted to say that because when we said going back to work, that was a huge thing for me.
I knew it was because you kept going and then coming back.
Yeah.
And then going and then you'd come back. So.
Yeah. So
Anetria, when you counsel someone who is coping and dealing with grief, what is your main objective for them?
Really, I feel like just to listen, first of all. And I always just kind of feel like just to be supportive and walk alongside that person in their journey. Like, it's an amazing thing to know you can just be heard when you're going through this process. Because everything isn't going to come at one time. No. It's going to come in waves. It's going to come differently. We move through it so fluidly. Yeah. And so I feel like, and I also know that just being heard, like one day you may be fine. It may be a great day. Yeah. And the next day you may see something that just reactivates everything all over again. Yeah. And so that's the main thing, to just be that support and to let them know, like, whatever it is you need to share it. Yeah. And you can do it safely and confidentially. Yeah. So that's my main goal.
How did that mean, like, when we would talk to you and you would talk to us, let me say that. I mean, were we good listeners? I don't know.
No, y'all were definitely good listeners. I think everybody was. I feel like everybody was great, you know, during that time. Yeah. I feel like, you know, that, you know, everybody was here was awesome, you know. Yeah. I could tell, like, a lot of people didn't know how to deal with it. It was like that type of thing. But overall, I didn't feel like anybody kind of like ran from it. And I've heard stories about that before where people, they go into this straight denial mode. They let it tear things apart. But, you know, death is a part of life. There is life and then there is death.
I thought it would tear you apart in some moments.
Let me tell you something. Let me be honest with you. So, you know, because of the relationship I had with my mom, you know, it was pretty good for the most part, but we had a lot of trauma that, you know, came from years and years of, you know, her boyfriends and bad relationships and other things that happened to her. And her grief was insane. Yeah. So when she had died, her grief ended, and it ended with me. And that was a beautiful thing because I was like, man, I'm free. I no longer have to deal with her grief that she's been packing on since like the 60s.
Do you have guilt about that?
No.
Like feeling free?
No. Because at the moment, and I know this is kind of graphic, but at the moment when I had found her and I had picked her up and her body had slumped over in my arms, I was like, okay, she's gone. You know what I'm saying? I know she's gone. And that went through my mind at the time. I was like, her grief is gone. Now I don't have to worry. I don't have to carry this immeasurable pain that she's been carrying with so many years.
And the fear of what you feared had happened. So we were facing it. So we knew that this is it. Yeah. The thing that we feared would happen. Okay. Now it's fucking happened.
Yeah. Cause cause after a while, you know, my mom was, smoking. She was taking all the medication. The doctor said, you can't keep doing this. This is going to kill you. And she was like, whatever. I don't care. I'm gonna ride it out. Shit. It's my life. Balls to the wall. So then now you're waiting for it. You're waiting for it. You know, it's like any day now. Just please don't let my son and my daughter find her dead while I'm not home. Yeah. You know, and freak them out. You know, so I'm glad that I was the one that found her. Yeah. And you know, and it, like I said, it was a relief, and the grief, it went away after that. So it is what it is.
Her grief went away or yours?
No, her grief that she put on me. You know, because her grief can carry over.
Yeah, I think you can.
You can place it on your children and your loved ones. Yeah. And then now they're wearing it. And you're not even knowing that you're wearing it sometimes, you know, but you're just around this person. You're like, damn, man, I feel down. I feel low. I feel, you know, this person is dragging you down years and years. And she did that for many years.
She did.
You know, because she lost her mother. Then she, the love of her life overdosed and died. The year before?
No, it was a few months.
A few months?
A few months before.
6 months. About 6 months.
That happened in February, and then she passed in May.
Okay, yeah. Wow, I was really off. See, my days are all fucked up. Because, I mean, I was, like, in and out. But you see what I'm saying? So then that was the weight of all that she was carrying around her, you know, and you could see it and you could feel it.
And then the guilt and shit that she had.
Yeah.
You know. But I think for me, the hard part, the part that would fuck me up, was not knowing when it was going to end.
Yeah.
Because like you were talking about the 5 stages of grief. We were talking about, you have a chart of that we can put up to show the 5 stages. So you have denial, then anger, then depression, bargaining, and then acceptance. So my thing was, you think that when people tell you about stages, you think that these stages happen in order.
No, they're not sequential.
And they weren't happening in order. And then sometimes when you would accept it, you go right back to denial.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is never going to end. So that's where the fear came from, because it's hard watching people that you love struggle like that, you know. And then another thing, I hope this isn't horrible, but I can be a horrible person. It's horrible. You only say that when it's horrible. It's just that I feel like he shouldn't have to suffer anymore. So having him continue to suffer after the fact made me angry, because it was like, oh, don't do all of that. You know, it was horrible. You know, so my grief, I'd stayed in the anger part probably until just a few months ago. Right. You know, because it was just, I was so angry at the fact that you'd have to have the life you had. And then on top of that, that would be her death. And then you'd have to deal with this whole other stuff. Yeah. And it just seemed unfair to me.
Yeah. But it goes away, you know, just like I kind of compare it to. Yeah, for me. But I compare it to like a storm, you know, like if you're ever one of those little kids when growing up, I used to watch Poltergeist. So I know Poltergeist is kind of weird talking about the grieving thing. But anyway, and the kid in the movie, they taught him how to count the seconds of the lightning, the thunderclaps. And that's how you know a storm is moving further and further away. So at this time, like when you feel that depression come on, like when after she died, it was like every day. And then it started turning into a week, and then it started turning into a month. And then it was like a few months. Now it's really just kind of like holidays. Yeah. Like I noticed it really was just like, this year was just Christmas. I was like, I kind of felt bad a little bit around Christmas. And I was like, and then I got over it and that was it. But now it's like, you know, it gets further and further away the more you kind of deal with it. And you can kind of, you know, deal with it a little bit better in that sense. Yeah. Yeah. Anetria,
one thing when we were going through, because we're still going through it, I don't think it ever really ends. I think you just kind of discuss it, or you take care of it when it comes. But one thing that I learned through this experience with Justin is that although that person is grieving, your spouse or the person you're in a relationship with is grieving, it's a very lonely situation for the person that's not necessarily grieving to help, because it's like they're gone. So it's like you're grieving the loss of your mom, and then we're grieving the loss of you because you're gone. Yeah. You know, and you try not to be selfish and say, hey, I still need you too, or, you know, try to demand and dictate how you grieve. But that was hard. The loneliness of watching somebody, you know, grieve. You know, what do you say to like a spouse or somebody that's in a relationship with somebody that's grieving about that? Because a lot of people don't understand that grieving is lonely, you know, and he has to do it alone. I can't do anything but just be right there, like you said, and be that voice to say, hey, I'm here. But it's a lonely thing to be in, and nobody can really help like we want to help.
No, you can't. I'm sorry, did you want to say something? I didn't know if you were
go ahead.
Okay. Now, it was, I mean, and you know, like I said, you know, giving some truth here and admitting some things I never admitted to anybody. But yeah, there was nights when I had to go in the backyard and cry by myself. There was nights when I had to go into the studio upstairs and cry by myself. There was many nights I had to cry in your office by myself.
Why did you feel like you had to do that alone, though?
Because I felt like I didn't want to keep burdening people. Like I keep just like, I didn't want to keep like waking you up, you know, going back here.
That's how you sound.
Yeah, you know, just like, because, you know, as a man, and y'all already know, as a black man, you growing up, you know, you got to be tough. Yeah. You know, you got to be able to get hit by a fucking car and then get the fuck up and then dust yourself off. Yeah. And, you know, and that's how it was. You know, I didn't want my son to see me crying. You know, and
maybe he could have.
Maybe he should have. Maybe he could have. But being this the first time that I dealt with it on this level,
I got you.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do, so I was like, let me just suck it up, and I would schedule that shit. So I would like,
you schedule your cries.
I would schedule my fucking crying. I'd get up at 1:30 in the morning and go get a drink.
Control freak.
Yeah, I know, right? Go in there and cry, get it over with, come back to sleep, because a lot of times it was just getting it out.
Yeah.
And if you don't get it out, man, that shit'll make your blood pressure go up, cause you to have headaches, paranoia. I mean, all type of shit, you name it.
Yeah.
It will cause all types of things because your body is fighting itself and it's trying to get this out.
Yeah.
And if you hold it in, you just implode.
Yeah.
And so that was the part I had to deal with. And, but yeah, it was something. It was some weight.
But I do want you to tell us, Anetria, because a lot of like someone like me or like our children who felt like we felt abandoned. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's selfish or not, or if that's just something that happens. Mm-hmm. But we wanted to help him, and then understanding that we just had to let him be was hard. Mm-hmm. What would you tell the people to help them, like a strategy or something that we can tell people to be able to understand that? Because I was mad at him, if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm. I think, this is the time when you really rally together. When he was just talking about, he didn't let the son cry or let your son cry, or he didn't cry in front of y'all's son. Uh-huh. I think that's when you do let them see your emotions. Like, have some discussions as a family and say, this is how I'm feeling. I'm sad, and this is why.
Yeah.
So the rallying apart, like coming together, and what if we need a schedule? Yeah. So maybe we do need to sit down. Like, this is when I need to cry. Mm-hmm. Like, Dad needs to take these 30 minutes when he gets home and have some quiet time. Whatever it is, however he may need to spend it, let's give him that. Or maybe let's do a chore or something for him that typically he does, but we're going to step in and do it, for a little while. Okay. So that pressure of I'm grieving, but I still got to be, this is the role I have in the family. Yes. Like, how can I balance it? So maybe I can give more focus to my grief so I can kind of work through that a little bit more and then get to a place where I can be back in that role or, in that position in the family. Yeah. Because I think that's where that inner conflict comes in. Like, I'm really sad. Like, I'm feeling all of this, but I still got to go to work. Yeah. Or I still got to, do these things. I got to do the errands. I got to take care of my family. Mm-hmm. And then there's guilt because it's like, I feel sad, but I know I got to take care of my family, but I really don't feel like getting off this couch. I don't feel like getting out the bed. When can I get that time to do that? Just because emotionally and physically, I just can't. Yeah. And so it's really, I think, like a collaboration, for lack of a better word, to just say, how can we come together to work through this as a family, and also to let that person that, is experiencing it get that time that they may need. Yeah. And feel supported, but still being able to say, what, maybe I can't do this or do it like this, but this is how I can operate. This is how I can do this part.
Got it. Okay. I read this quote that says, you'll never truly know someone well enough to marry until you've seen them struggle financially, witness them when they're sick, and when they're grieving the loss of a loved one. Yeah. And that was so deep to me because we've been married, 22 years? Mm-hmm. Well, when that happened, 21. Mm-hmm. And that was a side that I'd never seen before or experienced before. Mm-hmm. And of all the things that we've, championed, this one right here was the hardest.
Yeah, it was the hardest. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. That, to me, that was
harder than adultery. Yeah. It's harder than us being broke.
Yeah.
It was harder than anything because people told us to look out for adultery, look out for the financial thing, look out for raising the kids.
I was like, oh, that shit ain't nothing. I was like,
so
okay,
that came,
it
was
whatever.
Right. Ducking.
Yeah.
But that came and it was just like,
that
all goes Frazier.
Yeah, that's a shot to the face,
Yeah,
and you can't, and there's nothing you can do. You have to walk through the pain. And that's one of those things. It's like, it's a baptism by fire. Let me tell you.
Yeah. What, tough. The grief?
Yeah, yeah. Because when your mother dies, I don't know how to explain it. It just feel like someone just rips something out of you. It's like something in you kind of dies, and it's really weird. But that's why people always say they're never the same. It alters. It alters something about your living experience, and it's just the way it is. So you have to. Yeah.
See, the thing is, it wasn't about that you were grieving. Mm-hmm. It wasn't about any of that. I expected that. It was just about I I don't know if I can go on feelings, you know, because that part of it was like, it made me feel like we weren't enough, you know, and I felt like, you know, I always feel like nobody deserves that, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, she didn't deserve that level of grief. I know that sounds so horrible, but that's how I felt. Like, all the things that she'd done, she doesn't deserve this level of grief. He needs to get over this. I didn't say that to you, but in my
I knew
mind,
that's how you were going to feel anyway.
that she didn't deserve that level of grief.
I knew you were going to feel that anyway. But, you know, at the time, you got to think like this, you know, imagine being caught up in the apocalypse.
Yeah.
Right. So automatically you see the world crack open. You see everybody, a whole bunch of people dying. You're like, oh my God, this is it. You know, we're not going to make it through this. And then, of course, supposedly the way it's written, it's supposed to go into something else and birth a brand new world and everything's supposed to be okay.
Yeah.
So, but that's what I'm saying. It's one of those things like when you're going through it, it doesn't feel like it's going to end. It feels like you're in a tunnel and you're looking for the light and then someone sets that motherfucker on fire, you know, and then it starts to cave in. And then other things start to happen and water starts to flow through the walls. And you're like, oh, my God, this is like the worst thing that could possibly happen. But then all of a sudden you see the light at the end of the tunnel.
I got it.
So,
and I know all of that. That's why I hope I didn't make that your burden. You know, but we think about people losing people, mothers specifically, and we're like, well, she was a good mother and she did these things, so she deserves all of this this celebration and grace and love. But the thing is that I found through the process is, it doesn't matter how good or bad of a person you are.
Yeah. No,
it doesn't change the grief.
Whatsoever.
You know? So that was my lesson. It's like, you know, she wasn't horrible. But to me, it was just like,
yeah, she had done things that made
that are unforgivable to me. So it was just like, when you felt that relief and I saw that you were like, okay, I'm free. Right. I wanted you to lean into that freedom. You know what I meant?
Right.
Because I saw the glimpse of the freedom, and then it was just like she pulled you back in it, and it was like, leave him alone. You know, it's like I have to fight this woman even in death. For your happiness. So anyway, but that's not here nor there. It was just that it was just so weird because while she was here, I could fight her, but when she wasn't here, I couldn't. You know. And you had to fight that alone. And I was like, can he do it? Yeah. Will he be able to win this? You know? But you did. You actually championed that shit. I was very proud of you. You know, I'm still very proud of you and how you've handled it.
Thanks.
It was hard not getting involved with that shit, though. Because you know I'm a protector. Yeah,
I know. But it's just the way it is. You know, you have to go through it. And, you know, you got your family watching. You got other people watching. You know, and like I said, you got just my life. In my life, I just have people have high expectations for me. Yeah, so it's just one of those things that you have to go, you know. And like I said, you know, you make it out the other side, but don't get me wrong. It's like, don't underestimate it, you know, don't underestimate it. And you have to let things out. You have to grieve properly and health. I was going to say healthily, but that's not even a word. But you have to.
Healthily is a word.
Healthily. Healthily. Okay. But you have to grieve in a way that's, you know, that's good. You know, don't jump on heroin and, you know, smoke some meth. Smoke some meth. Some heroin. Yeah, you know, and all that shit. Don't get all that, but, you know, but find some things you can do, some outlets you can do. You know, it definitely
What
helps.
worked for you?
Meth, no, I was playing. But no, everything. You know, I'm not gonna lie. We partied. I partied a lot.
Yeah, we did.
You know, we went out. We did a lot of stuff. I like got my whole arm tatted up.
Yeah, you know? I think that was an expression. Like I feel like that. Like tattoos are an expression of pain.
Yeah, I wanted to feel that. I was like, man, pick the biggest needle and just you know, for 5 and 6 hours. So it was it was.
Was that therapeutic?
Yeah, it is. It is. It is.
I just got this little one right here. Oh, I got the one on my back. Keep forgetting I got that.
Yeah, you got the one on your back. Yeah. You cried
I cried.
It was for like 10 minutes.
Who cried for 10 minutes? You anyway. Will not put me out like that. I soldiered through that shit. I was like, nigga, what? That's all you got?
Well, we got the picture on Facebook.
Yeah, I was crying.
Yeah. She was like in agony.
I was, and you were like laughing and like trying to lick my cheek as I was crying. I'm gonna lick your tears. Yeah,
it was funny. Weirdo. Tears are so salty.
My tears are salty. My tears are sweet. They taste like brown sugar. Relax.
Tastes like rosé.
They do taste like rosé. Even better. You're so silly.
But yeah, so you know, you get through it.
Yeah.
I think what you were saying though earlier, when you're like, what can I do or how can I help? Just what you were doing. Yeah. You know, when you say, hey, you know what? I like the way that you're handling this, you know, to give those like motivational words or just some words of encouragement or a card or just anything thoughtful. That means a lot to a person that's going through. So even when you think, I'm not going to tell them that, no, it matters. You know, it matters a lot. I think even just from my own experience, like just going through that big life change. So, you know, my mom died. Then a few years later, I got married. I just kind of saw like, wow, you really see things differently. It's a different perspective. It's like, what really matters? Who's really significant? Who's really supporting me? So things change, like your dynamics, your thought process, things start shifting. And what used to matter no longer does. It's like what matters is, you know, we're talking to each other, we're communicating, or I'm in a good space, or when I'm not having a good day, I can tell my partner, because that's the other thing when you're feeling like I can go to them and tell them, you know, today wasn't a good day.
Yeah.
You know, my mom died and I had to go to work and counsel other people.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I had just started my job, so I could not quit. I could not do FMLA. I couldn't. You know, one patient came in, her husband died, my mom died, so we just cried.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like good for that time. Like that's what I needed. That's what she needed. Right. Because sometimes there are no words.
Yeah.
You know, when you're like, what can I do? What can I say? You can ask that person, you know, what do you need from me today? You know, and at the time, that's what my husband, then he was my boyfriend, that's what he was asking. And it really helped a lot.
Are there words that don't help? Like I know,
you know, you should be over it. You still, you know, when people, you still, dealing? Yeah. Because you don't know. Like you said, when you're like, you don't really know till it happens. Yeah. Even though, like, hey, maybe you mistreated me. Maybe things like, you know, we had trauma in our relationship, whatever it was, some negative experiences in that relationship. It doesn't matter. Because when you're no longer physically here, you're not here. I can't get it back. I can't change it. I don't even have the opportunity to try to correct something or do something differently if I wanted to. Yeah. So you don't know how you're going to react, how you're going to feel when that part happens. Yeah. So you don't have a choice but to walk through. I mean, well, you can choose other things, like when we're talking about, you know, like drinking excessively or using substance abuse, things like that, because we just want to numb ourselves. Yeah.
I'm glad that wasn't on camera.
Yeah,
right. You know, it's just what will numb this? Because I so don't want to deal with it, and it's like the more we try to distract from it or deflect from it, it's just really like prolonging the inevitable. Like I'm going to have to sit in it and feel it, you know, and that may be I need to be at home for a while, or maybe I need to go to a facility. Whatever it is, you got to take care of yourself.
You do.
Yeah. You know, and that's a big part of it. Yeah. And I just feel like that's why the expectancy of you, when we talk about like a black man supposed to be strong, he's not supposed to cry. I'm like, no, that's opposite. We need you to cry.
We do.
We need you to show feelings, because we have our children, kids like in school, not able to process or really deal with or talk through their emotions, especially when they see, you know, grief, when someone in the family dies, a grandmother or parents or things like that. So we want to be able to start facilitating those conversations like, this is what is going to happen, you know, and starting it early. Yeah. So that, because when they see that we're okay, they're going to be okay, even if it's some rough times ahead of us or whatever it is, because that's just how life is.
I agree.
You know?
Yeah. And that, like I said, it was tough. And you know, and I agree with that part of, you know, you have to show the emotion. And Blake said it was tough. You know, it was extremely hard because, like I said, none of the people in my life, even the guys in my life, you know, when people died, you know, I remember going over to my friend back in the day, my friend named Chaka, and his grandmother died, and we were sitting on the couch, and he was just like, yeah, you know, she, you know, grandma died, blah, 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 and he was like, yeah, you know, let's go shoot some hoops, man, you know, whatever, you know, it was kind of like he had to show, like, you know,
that you can still keep moving forward.
Yeah, you can still keep moving. Doesn't bother you. So, I mean, I went through that my whole entire life, you know, and I don't think I've seen anybody cry, really, you know, when people died, you know. But then when you get older, you're like, shit, you can't stop, you know. I remember just being in places, and I'm in line at HEB, and my chin starts shaking and shit. I'm like, oh, God, here we go. And so you start crying, and people just looking at you, you're just like, you know. So, but, you know, I get it. Trust me, I get it.
Well, I do want to say this. If my selfishness or my misunderstanding of anything because of my own personal feelings impacted you in a way that made you feel like you couldn't grieve or whatever, I apologize for that.
No, you good, man. You good. You had your moments with it, but it was I don't know. I just kind of feel like I knew you to that point of where I knew like certain
what
things.
to expect from
you.
what
would bother you or what would trigger you. So it was like I would try to kind of just navigate that a little bit. But now that you've been through it and you kind of we've talked about it, now you kind of know. You know, just like I learned something from this experience. You learned something from this experience.
I did. The biggest thing is that it ain't about me.
Yeah.
Because we want to do something. We want to feel useful and helpful.
Right.
And not being able to feel useful or helpful to a person that you've pretty much been able to be all things to.
Yeah.
You know, that's weird, and it makes you feel insecure.
Yeah.
You know, and you can't dictate how somebody grieves. You can't dictate. Shit, I was doing all kind of wrong stuff. You said I mean it was I was
like,
it wasn't wrong, but you were just doing what you just said. You do what you can, like with what you
I wanted
have.
to protect him.
That's what you had. And so that was the main thing that was probably coming out. But the beautiful thing is that y'all are talking about it now. Like, you're in a space. He can receive it. He can tell you, you know, this is what it was.
Yeah.
And you know how to move forward. Because when something else happens, when some other type of loss or trauma or anything anything tragic, you can be like, okay, we got through a really tough one. We can do it again. Yeah. We have a point of reference. We have a framework. And now we just need to kind of build upon that to make it work for us even more effectively.
Got it.
Yeah.
So I don't think, you know, when people are like, oh, I didn't do this enough. I didn't, you know, I wish I would have done that better.
Anetria, I was messing up. He's giving me some grace right now because he loved me. Yeah. But
that's the thing. He knows you. He's been with you 20 years.
Yeah.
So that's the other part of it. Yeah. So forgive yourself.
Yeah. Like I said, definitely forgive yourself, you know, because it wasn't that bad of, you know, I knew what, like I said, again, I knew what would trigger you. I knew what parts would agitate you. And it was because of the relationship you have with my mom and the things that she did and all that. So, you know, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I get it, you know. And so, but like I said, it wasn't so bad. It was like, oh my God, you know, you're heartless. It was nothing that was heartless.
Oh no,
I knew it was coming from a place of protection.
Just I'm a little tough love.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but it's cool. It all worked out, and you know, over time it healed, and that's you know.
What things did you do, or what tools did you employ to help you through the grief? What worked and what didn't work for you?
Trying to ignore it. Trying to ignore it didn't work. Okay. You know, trying to bury it. You know, the whole bargaining part of it. Like, oh man, I should have just waited a day and not took her to Walgreens that day, and then maybe this would have changed the outcome. If I deviated just a second from this day or that day, it would have changed the outcome. You know, so I had to, you know, toss all that shit out the window because it was inevitable. So, but you know, but mainly just talking with people. I would spark up conversations with random people on Facebook I haven't talked to in a long time. I would, you know, I would always try to find something to keep my mind busy, and I would try to stay away from landmines. Now, landmines for me were certain records that me and my mom used to listen to back in the day, like Marvin Gaye, certain albums me and her would always listen to, and it'd always bring up a memory, and it would just, all of a sudden, you just get that stabbing feeling.
For a while, though, it seemed like every song that came on was a song connected, you know, to you and your mom.
So, but I'm a music producer, so it you know, it connects to me a whole different light. Like, some people just hear a record, but I hear, like, a whole goddamn part of my life. The soul. Yeah, you know, so it's like, it was like, you know, it was different. It was different. But, you know, like I said, the main tools was, like I said, you know, just keeping away from denial, keeping busy, showing love to everybody else, you know, celebrating my life a little bit more because I kind of stopped doing that, you know, and so but all that pushed me forward to a better place.
Okay.
Yeah, in substance abuse.
I thought we weren't going to say anything about
all right, sorry, no substance abuse.
No,
substance abuse is Ben and Jerry's. Ben and Jerry's is substance abuse.
That's a substance. Sugar.
Yeah, substance abuse. Yeah. Sugar. There you go. Sugar.
Those things that you were naming, you know, it's like you create your own rituals.
Yeah. So create a ritual. Okay.
So it could be like maybe when you get to, I think, so you couldn't listen to a certain song at a certain time, but then like maybe a month later, like, oh, okay, now when I can listen to it, it brings me some type of joy.
Yeah,
it brings up something good. you know. So creating some rituals, like maybe, this is what I do, like for me, just personally, like I would, go by the cemetery sometimes. I see, I'm like, I don't go in there, but I'm like, hey, Mom, and I keep it going or whatever. Or I put on some music that she liked and that we enjoyed together, or watch a movie that we like. But I think one of the best things that I got, one of my sorority sisters gave me a candle.
Okay.
Something so simple, right? But she gave me a candle at the funeral, and she's like, whenever you think about your mom, just light it. And I mean, I burnt that thing up in a month or so, whatever, But it was just so powerful.
It is. Because
to me, it kind of created that space for me to be okay with thinking about her then. That time, I gave myself that time, and I could feel that connection. It was just what was happening in that moment. So it was something that I got, and now I like to do for others.
By the mechanic.
Because it just felt really powerful for me. But, different things work. Yeah. Like memory boxes. Sometimes, put in a box with things of theirs, their belongings or pictures. Anything that you can get time and you can reflect when you open it. And, it may be a little bit of mixed feelings, but the overall feeling would be to be some joy.
Gotcha. So that thing becomes kind of, well, I hope this isn't disrespectful, but it becomes like a surrogate or something physical that you can touch.
Yeah.
So
because we're talking about people or things that are significant, like your secure base. Like I can hold on to that.
Yeah.
Our moms were significant.
Yeah.
Your parents are significant. Your dad, family members. I can no longer really hold on to them. But the things that they've taught me, or things that they've shown me, or things that we value together, what they've instilled in me, is still there.
Yeah.
So how can I, reach that every day?
Yeah.
How can I, when that sadness wants to come, and it's going to come.
Yeah.
But it's just I may not want to feel like that all day.
Yeah.
So what is it that I can do to kind of bring myself back, to remembering those times? So whatever it is, if you have an object, a rock, whatever it is for you that can give you that, keep it with you.
Yeah.
It's no right or wrong way to do this.
Yeah.
It really is. It's what works for me may not work for you, but that feeling and that it's bringing me to or giving me, that's the thing we want. To be in a better place, to be in a healthy place, to say, yeah, I'm sad today, but that's okay, because that person or this relationship or whatever was this job was significant. It was important to me, and I want to honor that.
Yeah.
Got it.
I got it. And that's kind of what I'm going to do, because, I got my mother cremated, and I think the final step for me is I'm going to get her made into some coral, and I'm going to go throw her in the ocean. I just don't know which ocean I'm going to do it. I don't know.
She loved Jamaica. So
Jamaica, Hawaii, or, somewhere off the, in the tropicals. But yeah, that's what I'm going to go do, and that's going to be like my final step, because I didn't want to really keep her ashes. I just never really liked keeping people's ashes, So that's probably what I'm going to go do. So
let's do it.
And then that turns into something even bigger.
Yeah.
That might turn into something where you're like, hey, every year or every other year, we're going to go back to this place because it represents something special for us.
Yeah.
So when you think you're just doing that one thing, it can be a platform for so much more.
Yeah.
So that's what I kind of call finding the good in grief, or what's the great in grief, because we kind of have to make it something positive that we can hold on to, and how can we embrace and then help others embrace it in the journey, like our partners and our family, where they can come along with us and not feel any guilt or anything like that. Like, man, I don't really know if I'm doing right, but hey, this is something we can all be a part of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. I like this conversation.
This
is a great conversation.
Not as down as you thought.
No.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it could be healthy. It definitely can be healthy. But yeah. So I mean, those final steps. That's what I'm gonna do. And like I said, people do have their things that they do. But like you said, finding the silver lining, finding the good in grief. It's important. Or else it will cause decay in your life, in your emotions, in your mental, your mental health. So you definitely want to avoid that at all cost, and learn how to deal with it, because it is part of life, and eventually everybody goes that route, whether you like it or not. Live forever. So, but yeah, that was dope.
Well, thank you, Anetria. We appreciate you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
We thank you. If somebody wants to reach out to you to get information about the organization that you've set up for grief. You tell me
my practice.
Your practice, yes. How do they get in contact with you?
Well, they can email me at sacredspacesandconnections@gmail.com.
Okay.
Or call 832-779-1886.
All right.
All right.
You have anything, like any events or something that you're going to be hosting in the near future?
I'm hoping to do more speaking engagements like this, more things like a spring wellness type of thing I'm looking into doing. So definitely some other things coming into 2020. But this was a great way to start.
Yes.
Definitely.
Phenomenal way to start.
Yes.
Definitely.
So when you do those things, make sure you keep us posted so we can let our listeners know.
Definitely.
And we want to support too.
Yes.
All right.
All right. So, did you have anything else that you wanted to say, or did you?
I do, actually.
Go ahead.
Because this was something that I learned, you know, and I had a girlfriend who contacted me just a few months ago because she was trying to be supportive to her boyfriend who just lost somebody. They both lost that person, but she was trying to be there, and she felt like nothing that she was doing was helping. Yeah. And I told her that her being there was helping. I had it described to me once that grief is a tunnel.
Yes.
Grief is this tunnel, like you tell somebody lights it on fire, but it's a tunnel where you're just going through alone. And it's like everybody that's there on the outside of that tunnel can knock on that tunnel and say, hey, I'm here. I'm with you. And it's good to hear those voices on the outside, but they're on the outside.
Yeah.
All the work that you're going to have to do to heal is going to be done on the inside. So you got to give that person grace. Get out the way.
Yeah.
Don't take it personally. I thought I could heal Justin with some sex. Sometimes it worked. Sometimes it didn't.
It worked very good temporarily.
But see, I wanted it to be permanent, and it was temporary, and that was a problem for me because that ego, the Kiara Craft ego. But, just be there and keep trying. Like Anetria was saying, allow them to talk when they want to talk. Yeah. But you can't be a bully. You can't bully somebody through grief.
No, you cannot.
That does nothing but cause more pain.
Yeah.
So get out the way. And that's my advice, my wisdom. Get out the way.
Yeah.
Let them grieve. And when they need you, they'll let you know. And if they don't, be okay with it. Go find you a hobby or some shit. Go do something.
That's it right there. Be okay when that person says, I just need some alone time. Be okay with that because it's not personal.
It's not personal.
That's the main thing. Having your head, I know that person's not trying to be malicious.
Yeah.
When it feels like I'm trying to shun you, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out a way to walk through this.
Exactly.
So I can get back to being who I am for you and for our family. But I got to navigate this right here, which is unfamiliar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So definitely, it's a lot of awareness that needs to come to grief, and this discussion definitely helps that.
I'm happy.
Awesome.
I'm happy. So hopefully when somebody Googles it, this will come up.
I know, right?
Because
this is how you do it right here.
That's how you do it. That's that Justin Craft ego.
Yeah, right. Do that grieving shit right here. That grieving shit. You can watch that. That's how you do it. But I guess in my closing comments, you're gonna go through it. Yeah. So make sure that surrounding yourself with loving, understanding people. People understand that what these people need and how they need it. You're never gonna be prepared for it.
No.
So there's not gonna be like a overnight bag like you do when you go on your dick appointment or something like that. It's like you can't prepare for it. It's nothing. You're gonna have to it happens, and then you're like boom, you're in the game, and now you're playing. So just understand how to maneuver it. Understand how to have releases. It's important to have a release and to get it out. And also too, it's important to discuss it. Be open with it. Don't fear it. Don't look at it as a negative thing to cry and grieve because it's not. It's not going to make you any less tough. You're not going to lose any street cred. Just go through it, and understand that, like I said, everybody goes through it. And it's just a part of life.
Has it made you a better person?
It has made me a better person. I respect my relationships with friends a lot more. I really celebrate my time with people a lot more. It just made me a more rounded off person. Unfortunately, death was something I kind of needed. In order to make me a little bit better person. So and it did help. Yeah. So after my mom died, things got better in my life. It did.
They did.
But it wasn't necessarily because she died and it was like, oh man, the witch is dead. Well, nothing like that.
Yeah.
But it was like, it got it got that was a
I know
Wizard of Oz
Wizard of
joke,
Oz, I know.
But me and Mom would joke about stuff like that. So even when Mom
That's
was dying, she would make jokes about death, you know, and she make jokes about what's going to happen after her death. So we joked about it a lot leading up to those years, as macabre as it was, but it was just the way it is. But anyway, so, you know, that's pretty much it. You know, that's, you just got to go through it. I understand that's not really a big thing because, like I said, trust me, you can't plan for it. There is no plan. Yeah. It's just going through the tunnel and coming out the other side and just, you know, surrounding yourself with strong people that can help you.
To meet you when you get out of that tunnel.
And to meet you when you get out of the tunnel, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So. Good conversation, babe.
All right.
Well, again, Anetria, we thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Let us know when you have something. We coming through to support it.
Yeah,
I appreciate that. Thank y'all.
And for y'all who want to watch the show, remember, it's everywhere at Date Night with the Crafts. It's on YouTube, SoundCloud. I don't know about SoundCloud. Let me pull that back. Apple. I know it's on Apple. Mm-hmm. Spotify. Go there, follow, subscribe, share, comment, all of that good stuff. And we're going to be here every Thursday at 7 p.m. So y'all stay tuned.
Hit that subscribe button.
Hit that subscribe button.
It doesn't cost anything, and like I promise you, comments and likes are free. It's like crazy. You could hit the button as much as you want, and that won't cost you anything at all. It's so awesome. It's so awesome.
Yeah, and if y'all have any questions, any comments about this show, you don't want to put them in the comments, go ahead and just email them to me at info@datenightwiththecrafts.com, or y'all can just slide into them DMs and you know, ask a question, and we'll address it on the show. But again, we thank y'all for tuning in as always. Enjoy y'all date nights this weekend, and
we'll be back.
Keep the love. Yes. Mwah. Mwah. Have a good one.
Thank you.